So Ankur, I remember a conversation I and you were having just the other day where you were saying back like at the start of your career, you would not face cameras. I know you have some crazy YouTube stories of, interviewing people of Wikipedia and, correct me all that.
I know,
right?
yeah.
But you would never face the camera. You were always the one shooting the camera. And now here we are suddenly, 10, 12, 15 years later. And you're on YouTube, you have lakhs and lakhs of subscribers. How come that change? What prompted that? How did you suddenly become a YouTube host?
So I think I started YouTubing in 2008. I used to run this tech blog, and as a part of that tech blog, I also created a YouTube channel, and there was this tech YouTube channel which was never taken as seriously. But by 2010, I had around 500 videos already up on that tech channel. So did a lot of quantity there, and saw some traction. Some money used to flow from AdSense as well. Website was always the main focus. But at that point, my image of what is it to be in front of the camera was only inspired by television. There was nobody else to look up to, nothing else to look up to. And it was very unnerving to sort of face the camera and talk. It was difficult. I might have appeared in a video here and there, but let's just say I was camera shy. And even when we made, so even a mobile phone, if it was reviewed at that point, a camera will only face the mobile phone, and only the mobile phone would be shown. And it was not very uncommon for very nasty comments to show up regarding how your hands look, how your nails look, hairs on your hands. People were just very nasty for some reason at that point. I don't know why that used to happen, or maybe I just remember some of those comments and now I've just developed a thick skin around that. But I think there's several factors which led to me getting comfortable facing the camera. But the first time I started a YouTube channel with my face on the camera, in front of the camera, was 2020. And again, it was very unnerving. It was difficult. I did not share the channel link for a long time for various reasons, including the reasons we've spoken about in past episodes. But yeah, it was something which was difficult. Okay, I make videos about this subject. Who am I? Right? I think it's become a lot cooler now by saying that, hey, I'm a creator, I'm a YouTuber. I have found a newfound fame and family with every teenager, and not even just a teenager.
And dare I say McDonald's also, right? A lot of fame at McDonald's.
Yeah, fame at McDonald's as well. That's a separate story. But amongst the kids, not even teenagers, kids below 10 years of age, if I tell them I have over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, I am the best chachu in the world for a lot of kids, and I've helped some of them record some shorts and make their channels just when visiting them on whatever vacations and stuff. That's been fun. But being in front of the camera, did it in 2020. Was difficult to begin with. I think hearing yourself on tape doesn't sound as good always. But if I just look at my first video in 2020 versus what I make now, how comfortable I am with the camera, that has changed as well. And some of it is basically just getting comfortable with the camera. I would say that do not think how good the video is looking or how good you are looking in front of the camera visually, but just focus on delivering the content, getting the emotions through. And that is best done when, say, my face is in front of the camera. If I want to communicate that cannot be done in a faceless way.
Very interesting. So what is Faceless video? You just touched upon it, but sometime later for that video. But just coming back, being inspired by your journey, the way you're talking. Today, I think you work with a lot of hosts, right? In your profession, right? A lot of creators. So how do you pick a host? So if I have to say, okay, these are the 5 qualities. If I seen you, I think you will do well on YouTube. What those qualities are? There's a follow-up question to that, which is a lot of people generally have been good, during their college days, school days, being good debaters, stage speakers. Does that have an impact, or by default would you say, oh, he used to do a lot of public speaking, so sure you'll do well in the camera? Right. So what are those, let's say 4 or 5 things that you look at? So
whenever you tell me of college debate or those competitions, it will be like, so Arpit, I can talk to you over here about anything you tell me and I can debate you. Doesn't mean you will make a good YouTuber. Believe me, you are just someone who is good at speaking confidently on a stage. That does not make you a good creator. I think having empathy for who is listening to you. Being authentic, that is important. Being vulnerable, that is important as a creator. And those are very subtle things. And that is also a reason why I think people who approach YouTube in a very professional manner often fail. Because
very interesting.
Because okay, let me give you this example. When you go to a public event and you're speaking to 300 people, you are speaking to 300 people. Right? and you are addressing them in a certain way. But when you are talking to someone on YouTube, it is pretty much how we are talking over here.
Nice.
And this is also one of the reasons podcast, I think, is doing well, and we'll probably touch that some other time. But a conversation between two people, it happens with a certain amount of tonality which changes. When you address a group, you address them in a different way. When you address a single person, you address it in a different way. The pauses are different. The empathy or the respect for this individual is higher because you are thinking of one person in your mind. You're speaking to one person. In person, of course, you're seeing that person in the eye.
Very interesting.
And that makes a difference. So when you are on YouTube, your natural thought is, okay, I have 300,000 subscribers. I have millions of viewers every year. Let me talk to them in a certain way. And some of those work. But generally, if you just make one switch in your mind, that this is one single person in front of me, and I'm speaking to this person. The way you will do things will slightly change. That makes a big difference. There are a lot of other ways in which YouTube is made, and I must always preface what I say with, there are many ways to be successful on YouTube. What I'm saying is what I generally believe,
and what you've experienced,
how this landscape works, and what's a good way to succeed here. Maybe someone writes word-to-word scripts and succeeds. There are people who use teleprompters and succeed on YouTube. There are people who probably write a script and give it to someone else to read in front of the camera, and somehow their channel succeeds. There are people who just show B-rolls all together and do this faceless thing and they succeed. There are many ways of doing storytelling. But from what I have seen, the best of the best, be it your MKBHD or Johnny Harris of the world, they may do a lot of prep for their video. But when they are talking to an individual in a certain way, and they are certainly not reading from a teleprompter. Or even locals, say, from what I have heard from some of the large local influencers, let's not name any of them, but what I have heard is that they have a script outline or some research done on a technical topic. But they are not reading from a script.
Brilliant.
And I think that makes the video more authentic as well. When you're reading from a script, or when you're reading from a teleprompter, at least when I look at a video, 9 out of 10 times I can spot if it is being read from a teleprompter.
Very interesting.
And somewhere the people who are watching may not be able to say that this is a teleprompter clip, but they may be able to certainly, feel a certain amount of disconnect. And I think that causes a problem.
So good two words, I think, authenticity and connection. I think you picked those two very well.
Like this is an unscripted video, right? So I'm thinking, we are exchanging notes on the fly. It is authentic by nature.
Absolutely.
And also by design, because we know we want to do it this way. We know what we are speaking about today, or what we are going to speak about someday. But 10 minutes before entering the room, what are we talking about? And you just enter the room.
Absolutely.
And as a result, I may miss out on 5 things I wanted to talk about had I prepared for it. But the conversation may not be or the exchanges may not be as authentic.
Very good. So essentially what you're saying is authenticity above everything. I also want to
at least on this podcast, I would have liked to have a few talking points, but I think this is bread and butter for us.
Brilliant.
So I should do well regardless of the talking points.
You should. So in fact, one more very interesting point you said, which is assume that the person that the audience you're talking to is a singular audience. So let's say if I'm an individual creator, then the camera is my audience. So is that a right mental makeup or a mental space to get into, that I'm teaching or I'm trying to explain it to this camera? I think you're a big fan of 101, beginner, that kind of a content. So someone is looking to do that content. Is that a good practice?
So the way I coach new creators is when you are looking in a podcast, I'm looking at you. I'm not looking at the camera most often, but when you're looking at the camera, look inside the camera lens. If I look at the display just above the camera, you will be able to say that I'm not looking at you in the eye. I'm not talking to you. So look inside the camera lens. Imagine there is a 5-year-old kid sitting inside that camera lens and talk to them. That will bring a natural smile to your face as well.
Nice. Well said. Very well said. So Ankur, I also want to talk to you a little bit about, I think the hands example you just touched upon very briefly, right? A lot of us are very appearance conscious. Right? How do we look like? We don't like getting photographed. Some of us is also on the total extreme other end, right? But we'll not talk about that side. But how important is, let's say, looking a certain way to succeed on YouTube?
Yeah.
Is it very critical? Is it something that comes later on also?
I'm thinking the next YouTube channel I make, what I would probably do is I'll show up in a 10-year-old t-shirt for every video.
Nice.
I will not be in a fancy studio. I'll sit somewhere roadside and just talk. Because given how many videos we have seen with all polished chakachak makeup and studio, maybe that will get better retention.
Very interesting.
But general rule that I would put forth is audio above video.
Okay.
And when I say audio, I mean in two different ways. But generally, how good your appearance on video is or how polished your video is secondary.
Okay.
But how good your audio is, in terms of delivery of quality of audio. That is your audio loud, clear, without any echo, without any disturbances. That's one. Second, what are you actually speaking?
Yeah, that's the content, the authenticity.
Yeah, the content. Like a lot of times I consume YouTube with just my earphones and I don't even look at the video because, especially for informational videos.
Okay.
So your audio becomes a lot more important than the video in informational videos or any video which at least an educator would care about.
Very interesting. So I'm going to come down to the $1 million question of this podcast. Can anybody become a YouTube host?
Yes, but I often give another example that if a Shah Rukh Khan teaches you how to become a Shah Rukh Khan, it's a fraud. But if a Shah Rukh Khan tells you how to be an actor, it's fair.
Nice.
So a Shah Rukh Khan can probably teach you acting, but Shah Rukh Khan can't teach you how to become Shah Rukh Khan. So when I say that anyone can be a creator, I really mean it. And I'll give you good examples of that. But how big of a creator would you make?
Sure.
I wouldn't put a limit on you. And I wouldn't give you a guarantee either.
Brilliant. So if you're planning to become a creator, like Ankur is saying everybody could, how much can you make money out of it? That's a $2 billion question, but that's in the next episode. Thank you.